right, people. The dilemma at Penn State University. Let's just figure this out now. Everybody's over here defending Joe Paterno, Joseph Paterno, saying, well, he did everything he could. He went to the administrator. No. You know what a grown adult does when he hears of something like this? He goes to the authorities. That's what he does. Let me explain to you. When he went to the AD, you know what he said? He said, look, I know what's going on here, this and that. Some guy was raping a 10-year-old. Let me tell you how that conversation went. He just didn't walk in and tell them. They said, all right, we'll take care of it and close the door. Guaranteed, the door was closed. They called in other people and said, look, we got to keep this under wrap. This cannot get out. This was probably a 2 or 3 hour meeting for months at a time going on. They knew they had to cover this up at the expense of some 10-year-old boy and about 9 other victims. And Michael McCurry, you walked in and seen an adult molesting a 10-year-old boy, and what did you do? You reported it to Joe Paterno. You should have went to the authorities yourself, but you wanted a job at Penn State, so you kept your mouth shut. You know what a man like me would have done there? Let's just put it this way. There would be an adult severely beaten in that shower, and it wouldn't be me. This is all about what this monster did to these children up there. And you guys kept it under wraps for 10 goddamn years, or however long it was. And I understand this guy's not even in custody right now. He's out on bond. What the fuck kind of country we live in when Wesley Snipes is in prison right now for tax evasion, and this guy, who's probably as guilty as can be from what I've seen in the documents, is out on bond? Kind of country do we live in? Oh, and Michael Jackson's doctor, who just prescribed propofol to Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson is the one who took it himself, whatever, because he was a drug addict, is now sitting in prison while this pedophile is walking the streets over there in PA somewhere. This is an outrage. Everyone crying for Joseph Paterno. Oh, he did everything. He's a good man. How can a man know what happened for 10 goddamn years, live with himself? It's all about winning up there. Didn't want to ruin it. Didn't want to tarnish the whole goddamn school up there, what it meant. At the point when you see the little boy in the shower being molested or raped, whatever the hell it was, you should have put the organization of school secondary. Should have been about the kids. But no, you knew about it, and what you do? Once you're AD, you should have went to the authority. You're Joe Paterno. You're God at Penn State. They've been trying to fire you for 10 years now. They couldn't get you out of there. It's a shame it took for them to justify firing you because some little kids were getting molested because you reported it, and now they have to blame it on you. Well, we all know what the problem is. You should have went to the authorities. So you have to accept some culpability here. They've been trying to fire you. It's a shame it had to come this way. Your legacy is tarnished now. When you think of Joe Paterno, you don't think of the 2 national championships, the most winningest coach in college football. You think of this. That's what it's always going to be. You should have went to the authorities. See, I would have handled it my way, and then I went to authorities. But it went on for 10 years. This Jerry Sandusky piece of scum, who they say is innocent before. Listen, pedophiles are the scum of the earth. You cannot rehabilitate these type of people. This man was allowed to have contact with children for 5 to 10 years. But you had to cover it up because Penn State University football program was bigger than 10 young individuals in society. That is a crime right there. Now, Paterno, you come out here and say, in hindsight, you wish you would have done more. Yes, you do. Because now you got fired. And I love how you said that. You're going to retire at the end of the year like you still call the shots. And they pushed your ass on out of here. You ain't calling those shots no more. How can you look yourself in the mirror and know that you knew about this going on? And you knew about it. And yet this guy was still on your staff. He was still a part of this tradition over there in Penn State, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, you need some culpability in this. Responsibility. And Michael McCurry, you want to be the head coach of this team? You shouldn't even be allowed to have a head coaching job. You walked in on a man with a 10-year-old in the shower and you did nothing. You didn't even question him because he was some higher power on there. Jerry Sandusky, big defensive coordinator. You didn't question him because you wanted to work at Penn State. Well, guess what? Don't you think a child's life is more important than a goddamn job? This kid's scarred. 10 people scarred for life now because of what transpired at Penn State. Because you wanted your job at Penn State. You should have went to the authorities. And then we got people feeling sorry for Michael McCurry and Joe Paterno. Come on, man. It's bullshit. Paterno, you were God up there. You could have went to the authorities, and guess what? You would have never been fired. Your program might have been tarnished, but guess what? You would have done the right thing. You would have saved a lot of innocent kids from having the same type of treatment that Jerry Sandusky supposedly did to them. That's what you could have done. That's what you should have done. But it is football, isn't it? It's all about winning, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it is. Guess what? Hindsight 20/30, you should have looked back now. Don't you think you should have? So, Paterno has to accept culpability here. I'm not saying throw him in jail, but guess what? He's not this innocent bystander everyone says he is. Oh, you gotta leave him alone. He did the right thing. He reported. Come on, man. You go in that, you report it to the AD. Guess what? The door gets closed right there. And you know what they said? The whole conversation goes like this: we gotta keep this under wraps. We can't let this get out. We gotta keep this closed. No one can know about this. And that's what you did. You covered it up. That's what you did. And now there's 10 children, probably adults now, half of them, that have to live with this and go through this 10 years later, 8 years later, 7 years in some cases, whatever. So don't give me no sympathy for Joseph Paterno. Yeah, you were a good coach years ago, but let's face the facts. They've been trying to push you out for years now, and it's a shame it come to children being molested for them to justify firing you. Don't you find that kind of ironic? They had to force you out of there. Now they finally got their wish. They're glad they got rid of you, guaranteed. But the sad part about it is children had to suffer because of this, because all you had to do was go to the authorities. What a normal human being does is when they see this, well, how I react, like I said, there would have been an adult severely beaten in that shower. It wouldn't have been me. It would have not have been me. And then guess what? I went to the authorities and said, look, this is what happened. That's what I would do. That's what normal men do. You don't sit back and go to your coach and say, yeah, the defensive coordinator, he was raping a 10-year-old boy. What do you think we should do? No, you don't do that. You stop it. Whatever you got to do, bug. You stop it, whatever you got to do, and then you go to the police. And if you would have went to the police, by now, 10 years later, whatever, how long it's been, it would have been all forgotten about. 1 charge, 2 charges, whatever, it would have been pushed under the rug. It would have been forgotten about. It wouldn't have been 10 victims, what I'm trying to say. But you fucked up. So I don't want to hear no one say that, Joe Pot did the right thing. What kind of man lives with himself after they know this shit's happened? You had the guy on your staff. How can you look, man, you know what? Whatever, I know I'm right in this justice, whatever happens to Penn State University. Now these kids today that play there, I don't believe they should be punished because they had nothing to do with this goddamn thing. The people that should be punished are the people that knew about it. Anybody in the office, the AD, anybody that's involved covering this up should all get prison time, in my opinion. They need to accept some culpability for what's transpired at Penn State. Anyone who knew about anything that went on. You need to accept some responsibility and go put your hands behind your back, get handcuffed, and go to prison for what you've done. You've enabled. You're covered up. There are some things you don't put over winning in college football, and that happens to be one of them. Yeah, I'm a little worked up about it. This shit is wrong. You know it, and I know it.